as we pull back there from the Royal Palace of the Department or Province of Navarra. We're now looking for the peloton in the Vuelta a España, and believe me, they are absolutely flying towards the narrow entry onto this climb. It comes at 9.9 kilometers to go, and they're still 42 seconds behind this man here, Vasil Kirienka. I thought he was going to wait for them, but he's about to start the climb.
Yeah, 1 minute it did look like he'd decided to give up the ghost and wait for the peloton, but he's put his head down again. But the speed that the peloton's moving along has brought this gap down very quickly, and he won't be out there for very much longer.
Well, this is not the narrowest part of the road, by the way. This, in fact, is rather a nice stretch of the road. They're saying 10 kilometers on the banner, so just see ahead there, the ramp. That's where the climb is starting now for Vasil Kirienka. And he's going to go on to it with just 38 seconds, 37 seconds in hand. The road surface now, I'm afraid, changes rapidly to concrete slabs and lots of cracks on them. And just take a look how narrow this climb is. And that is why the peloton are racing for that left-hand turn. And they've got to make sure their leaders are at the front. Yeah, because there's no way they'll get through.
No, it's the same sort of scenario as approaching the first stretch of cobbles in Paris-Roubaix or the first climb in Tour of Flanders. You've got to be near the front.
Well, we may have a job getting down there at the moment with our cameras. I can see one just ahead of the riders as they come on to that same ramp at 31 seconds, 30 seconds. Cannondale are first onto the ramp. That'll be for Demarquis. But more importantly, Katusha will need to find out the whereabouts of Joaquim Rodriguez. He's there. Now, where is Alberto Contador? He's a bit far down, but he's near Chris Froome.
Yep, they're all there safely now on the climb. You can see most of the favourites already near the front of the peloton.
Some of the riders will know for this climb and may well have had a look at it, but they've never raced up it in the Vuelta a España before. And look at the crowd here. That's just to make it a little bit more narrow, I think.
Yeah, a bit of chaos now. This is always the same sort of scene with the motorbikes. They've got to make sure these motorbikes are pushed forward.
So Kirienka is parting the ways here. Now, is he a carrot? I've just been thinking there. Do you think he's a carrot for Chris Froome to come and join?
Well, it could be, but I think we might not see too much of Chris Froome. I've said it now, but we may just see Chris just try to stay with the best climbers today.
Arendondo's moved right up there too in the black jersey for the Trek team. That will account for Cancellara's big effort just before we got to the climb as well. 9 seconds. They're going to catch him very, very quickly on the climb. And, well, you probably saw there, Graham, how that peloton has virtually cracked wide open under the pressure. There's the catch. Yeah, most of the guys who haven't got any chance in hell of getting anywhere on this climb will just be easing up now and just trying to get up to the top. It's all down to the race favourites and the guys going for the stage win now. So Kirienka has led to the climb, and that is where it is now all over. Arredondo is the rider in black. Valverde is in the white jersey, remember, as combine leader. He's just out of our vision, but he's right up near the front. There he is in 5th place on the climb. And now it's not so easy at the back of the race, is it? Because this is Johan Lebon going out. He was one of the men in the breakaways, a young, improving bike rider and a very, very good rider of the future. But right now, 23 years of age, is not old enough to climb with these boys. And there's still a lot of work to be done by Chris Froome in the black jersey there as the kilometres tick off. It's on average about 7.5%, but 2 kilometres from the top. There's Tony Martin, the black, the winner yesterday, going backwards. 2 kilometres from the top today, it really kicks in at 14%.
Well, Sky may have something in their minds here, because it's them that's making the pacemaking at the front of this group now. Arredondo sitting in 2nd place, but just see the bobbing figure of Contador about 3 or 4 riders back. He's making sure he's not going to miss any of these moves.
Phil Dignan is the rider on the front from Ireland. He's the first of the sacrificial lambs to keep the pace high. Nasser Bouhanni, he might look for a win tomorrow, because it is a day we think the sprinters will enjoy tomorrow. You can never tell with this Vuelta a España. Everybody just allowing Dignan to go as long as he can. They're all waiting. This is quite a long climb at 9.9 kilometers. They know that they've got the tough stretch 2 kilometers out. The red jersey of Alberto Contador has come right into the thick of it now. There he is. And looking at his face, Graham, he's on another good day.
Yes, it looks like it. Valverde's just behind him on his wheel as well, so he's making sure he's keeping him in his sights. Arrow's there. Rodriguez all near the front.
153 kilometers today. The average speed now has gone up, in fact, because of that charge across the plains. It's now over 45 kilometers an hour, and it's all about this last climb. Everybody who matters is here in this group. Dan Martin is also here, the Garmin Sharp rider. Keeps popping in and out. Light blue jersey, if you spot him. Katusha still rallying around. They made all the pace, don't forget, till they got onto the climb. Now the red jerseys down there. The last man of those 4 is Joaquim Rodriguez. Contador's got 2 teammates left. Bit of a...
It's still straight. Froome's right at the back of this group, because we've got 4 Sky riders, one of them Froome, right at the back, and Sky at the front of this group making the pace. So rather strange, and Froome looks like he's losing time, he's losing distance.
As you were speaking then, that's Froome going off the back of that group. Is that Froome?
No, it's not. Froome's just in front. I can see Froome.
Right, okay.
Definitely his style, but he's still near the back of this group.
But look at how that big bunch of 180 plus riders at 8 kilometers to go is already a very select group of riders. Now, Phil Dignan on the front here. Arandonda is just behind. Chris Froome is down at the back of the group, but at least he is in this leading group. But really, the tempo being set by Phil Dignan, teammate of Chris Froome, might actually be hurting his leader at the moment. .6 kilometers. Chris Froome has come through. He's the last rider in black on the right of our picture, popping in and out. Arredondo has decided to lift the tempo up here for Trek. A lot of people talk about this man as a star of the future. It won't be in this welter because he's now 1 hour and 19 minutes behind, but he is a very good climber. Now he's dropping back again as the pacemaking continues here. Now Phil Dignan still setting it, looking down the bunch there. Rodriguez is there, Uran is there, Valverde, Anacona and Chris Froome. All the men that matter are still here.
Yep, that was the first little attack by Arredondo, but it didn't really have any effect, and it's still Sky, so you may well be right. Chris Froome is going to try something.
There's got to be a reason for this, but then, you know, Graham, we've been confused at least twice during this Vuelta, and Sky have done everything and got nothing.
We also know that Froome likes to set a nice tempo, doesn't he? But he doesn't like the accelerations, and that's probably one thing trying to deter that.
This is Phil Dignan now. He's done his turn. He's now dropped off. Also with him is Konstantin Sitsov. Cataldo setting the pace for Sky. Caruso in second place. Contador dancing as he always does in 4th. Not looking under pressure. Remember, Quintana out of the Vuelta with an early crash today. 2nd in as many days. And that's a big loss to the race because he was a big favourite. And now we know the leader of Movistar is certain to be Alejandro Valverde.
Yeah, all the people who should be are all there at the moment. We've not really seen any attacks, but Froome was drifting to the back, and is he in trouble again? Well, it certainly looks like it.
Chris Froome here is not looking at all happy again. His body language in the time trial was not good, and the same language is still being used now. He keeps looking up at the back wheels of the riders in front of him and coaxing himself back into the slipstream. But I have to say, you know, he's coming up behind David Arroyo up there.
It's still Sky making the pace on the front. So again, this is slightly confusing tactics, but
I don't think they know. They can't possibly know.
No, well, radios, but probably they should. But anyway, Chris Froome is still there, but he's still not looking on the best. Not looking at his best here, is he?
Well, Cataldo is doing a great piece of pacemaking at the front, but he's hurt the guy he's supposed to be pacing at the moment. Froome is riding himself back up to it here. When you're a climber, sometimes you cannot answer the pacemaking of others, but he's climbing himself back in perhaps.
Yeah, he's just trying. I think he's just trying to keep his own rhythm at the moment and not respond to any attacks. Although we've yet to see any attacks, but I think once we get into this last 4 to 5 kilometres, I think we might start seeing 1 or 2 people try and attack.
Wilco Kelderman up here.
Sink's there as well, isn't he? So all the favourites are there. Warren Baggy, he's there as well. Anacona's still hanging on there. Fancied himself for a high overall.
22 select men here. The men who are making the Vuelta a España at the end of every stage. Nobody missing from the front runners at the moment. But Chris Froome is in the hot seat. Now this is an attack by Baguil. 2 stage wins last year, Graham. Made his name, said he'd come back and win this race one day. Did a terrible time trial. He was totally destroyed by his bad ride yesterday. But he's reassessed himself and said, hey, I only really lost just over a minute. I've still got a chance.
Well, after last year's Vuelta, everybody's got big hopes for this guy. We've not heard much of him this year, but he's come to the Vuelta obviously in very good form. And I was wondering whether we were going to see him actually try and do something.
Well, is this going to continue the great French Renaissance? After a wonderful Tour de France, Robert Gesink of the Netherlands has caught him up. A good man to dig in deep with, because Gesink is totally reborn here. He used to crash a lot, similar to Chris Froome, and then he had a heart problem diagnosed this year. He's been off the bike for quite a long time, kept him out of the Tour de France, and here he is now back at the sharp end of a Grand Tour.
Chris Froome's moved up a few places there, so he may be riding himself in on this climb. Nothing's been done yet. They've allowed these 2 riders to go clear, but I think Contador, Rodriguez, Valverde are probably just watching each other a little bit, just for the moment.
Well, Barguil has settled in with Hessink here. These are 2 riders. They're aggressive enough to go the distance, and at the moment they're a little bit too far behind overall. Gesink is 2 minutes 38 seconds back. He's best placed of the pair here. That there's no reason for them to react just yet. There's still an in-battle going on back there. I don't expect to see Contador shoot after them, but he's waiting for his opportunity, I'm sure of that. 5.5 kilometres to go. We're about 3 kilometres to the steepest section of the climb.
Still Movistar. Contador still looking comfortable. Rodriguez there or thereabouts. But as yet, none of the favourites have cracked.
Well, Baggy's gone. Just lifted the tempo too high, Robert Hessink. He's riding like a different man. 10% is the gradient just at the moment. This is the man who was once talked about as a winner of the Tour de France, Robert Hessink. He's never been able to oblige. He did win the Amgen Tour of California a couple of years ago. Barguil has gone back into the peloton. He made his effort. He didn't have it. It's like riding on the duckboard here, those strips down there. It must be very uncomfortable too with all the vibrations.
Yeah, Gesink's just dropped back a little bit, hasn't he? He's not really pushing on with this gap as the pace being set by Movistar and with Contador in second place. Froome still sticking at the back of this peloton.
This time last year, Gesink was winning the Grand Prix Quebec in Canada, in Montreal, in fact, and that was his last race victory before hospitalization. 9 seconds, Hessink. He'll have a lot of fans for this performance, particularly in Holland, and let's not forget the Tour de France starts in Holland next year, and this man wants to be back at the height of his ability. Finished 6th in the Vuelta 2 years ago, Robert Hessink, again promising big things in Grand Tours. A stage win would really save his season.
Still all there at the moment, about 15 guys maybe in this group.
Well, there were 22, take one off up the front, 21, but I don't know what's happening at the back anymore. Our cameras are rather stretched now. 14 seconds, and he doesn't look like a man slowing down, so they'll have to think about coming to him. 19 victories in his career, which began in 2005. Virtually all of it lost this year with his heart problems.
He's certainly keeping a very good tempo, and the gap has gone up a little, 14-15 seconds, so he's doing a really good ride here. I mean, he's looked very good since the Vuelta's begun.
Quarter of a minute. Well, there's not 22 riders left down there at the moment. Contador waiting in the wings in second place. Valverde not giving him too much room. He's sitting on his back wheel here, waiting to see when he moves and whether he can go with him. They're clinging to the hope that he has not recovered his full form since his crash in the Tour de France, because if he has, there's nobody in this group can live with Alberto Contador.
Well, Izagirre is doing a great job, isn't he, in front of this group at the moment. He's keeping Gesink at a reasonable distance of around 15-16 seconds, but he's giving everybody else in that group a real hard time, and at the moment nobody's really attacked apart from Gesink. We've not seen any of the favourites make a move yet.
Well, we're looking here now at Wilco Kelderman. He's the team leader of Belkin. He's only a youngster. Used to be winning all the best young rider competitions around the world, but now he's no longer the best young rider. He's a senior pro, and he's finding today a little bit hard. While his team mate, and not his team captain on this occasion, is carving his own little niche here, Robert Gesink. 2 kilometers to the steep section. We'll see how he survives that. Contador, I think he's just reining himself in at the moment. There's an attack going from Cofidis. This will be Daniel Navarro.
Getting towards this steep section. I think that's what. I think that's where we're really going to see the action. There's again no real response from that group.
Well, Navarro is Spanish on a French team, and that in itself is a little bit unusual, but this man is a very, very good climber. He's 4 minutes and 14 seconds behind, and he's not going to recover all of that today. But at the moment, he's looking to try and catch up with Robert Hessing at 3.6 from the finish. Navarro has just been caught, but he's gone again here. He's joined Dan Martin with a good effort from Dan Martin, the Irishman. And Joaquim Rodriguez has now taken up the front running of the peloton. Interesting, but Contador is not wasting any energy here. He's just watching who's moving. Yeah, well, when you've had a time trial like you've had yesterday as well, that it takes a lot out of the leaders, and sometimes you just want to get through the next stage. Winner Anacona, the winner a couple of days, the day before the rest day, and who said, well, I might even finish third in the Vuelta now. He's that confident. He's losing ground. He sits in 4th place overall. Chris Froome is in trouble as well. That familiar fast-pedalling cadence of Froome, which carried him to victory in the Tour de France in 2013. But now he's in trouble. Chavez also in trouble at the back.
Yeah, a few riders there, Caruso, Padilla as well, losing contact. Froome at the moment, though, just looks like he's not responding to the acceleration. He's just trying to keep his own rhythm.
As steep as the climbs is, these riders are hitting it so quickly. It's the speed that's killing them. It's not a pure climber's climb at all. This is high-speed racing. Dan Martin got away from the front, but now he can't move any further clear. We've still got Hessing at 18 seconds up the road. That's 3 kilometers just behind here. Dan Martin's gone under that same banner now, so it looks as though Hessing is coming back to the fold, or is Martin just going to join him? It's a good opportunity, this, for Dan Martin. He's 3 minutes and 48 seconds behind overall.
Froome's still hanging in there, isn't he? He's only about 10 metres off that group, but it will feel like a long way, but I'm sure he's just looking at trying to keep his own rhythm.
Well, he's a great fighter, that's for sure, and he's trying desperately just to hold on. In these 3-week tours, you have good days and bad days. If you've got a bad day, you've got to get through it, and maybe Chris Froome is doing just that at the moment. He's only 2.5 kilometres to go. We're about to hit the ramp of 14%. Dan Martin still trying to get clear and up to Hessing.
Well, Dan Martin's another one really who wants to do something in this welter. He's just said that the worst part of the welter is over for him. Now to sort of get into the action and get some real racing done.
Martin's trying to make a decision over these next 3 weeks, whether he's a multi-day Grand Tour cyclist or a one-day classic winner, as he has been in Liège-Bastogne-Liège. He'll know by the end of these 3 weeks, he says. 2.3 kilometres to go. This would be a superb victory if he were to come back from a heart operation to a victory in a stage of the Vuelta a España for Hessink.
You can see he's really suffering there on this steep part of the climb. But Froome's back, isn't he? Look at that.
It's amazing. He's put himself back in. He's living in his own private hell back there, Chris Froome. You can never tell from his face. He concentrates hard. He rides head down, head up, head down, head up. This is Caruso also going off the back at the moment. Oh, this is, yes, this is Damiano Caruso, not to be confused with Gianpaolo.
Barguil still, despite his attack and getting dropped by Gesink, he still managed to stay in this group. But for me, the one who's looking very comfortable is Contador.
And this is the ramp. I think we've just hit the steep part of the course here. 14%. Contador's grinding out the message. But look at this. Chris Froome is coming up on the right-hand side. Valverde's in the centre. The one in the red, the one in the white have won the Vuelta a España. Chris Froome has finished second in it. The top names are bubbled to the front now as we hit the steep ramp. What do you make of that, Graham? He's gone to the front now.
Well, I think he's gone to the front partly because there's a bit of easing up in that group. They're all looking at each other, but Froome needs to keep his own rhythm. He doesn't want to be slowing down.
This is the ramp, 14%. There's the confirmation of that. Hessink grits his teeth. He knows he's only 1.8 kilometres from his first Grand Tour stage win, and what a one to take, having come from hospital bed to a Grand Tour this year. Froome looks a lot more relaxed now. He's a different bike rider. Contador's gone, there's no answer. Oh yes, there is. Alberto Contador goes under the 2 kilometre banner. Right behind him is Valverde. It's another test for Alberto. The motorbikes need to move out the way quickly.
Yeah, the motorbikes are getting in the way there. Can't get past Dan Martin because the road's so narrow with the crowd. And I think actually Contador's initial attack got slowed down by the motorbike.
I think you might be right because the motorbike came up behind Martin and the crowd shut it down there.
Sanchez losing contact.
And he sits in 7th place overall. Sanchez at 1:41. Dan Martin sticks to his guns here. 1.5 kilometres to go. He's riding for 2nd place in a few seconds. There's also small time bonuses at the top of the climb. 10.64 seconds.
Yeah, this is really hurting now for Gesink, but he's still doing a brilliant ride here to go on the attack. Oh, an attack by Aru.
Well, there's been dangerous attacks all day, but this is Aru. He sits in 8th place overall. And he's likely now to leapfrog Sanchez, who sits 7th. And still we haven't seen a move coming yet from Rodriguez. He's down there.
I think he may. I think we're going to see one soon, but I still think Contador's looking very comfortable and well in control of the situation here. But quietly sitting there, as we mentioned earlier, was Uran, and Froome's been dropped again.
Yes, and they've caught Dan Martin as well. He's just up there at the moment. They've swept around him. Froome is coming over the top of that 14%. Looks like Navarro is edging up again as well as they're coming together here. Hessink has been caught. Looking behind, Navarro has got him. So too has Contador. So too as Rigoberto Urán is there. Fabio Aru. Boy, this has been another duo battle. We predicted it at the bottom because they all race for the bottom so hard to be in the right position. There'll be no lucky winner of this year's Vuelta. Of that, there's no problem. They're now looking at Navarro, but this time Contador's paying attention.
Yeah, we're going to see one of the big guys attack here, Navarro. I mean, these constant attacks here have got to, the elastic's got to go sooner or later.
Sanchez has climbed his way back in, number 41. Hessink, number 34, is yo-yoing. Navarro tries a tentative, and now we have got an attack by Fabio Aru. And this time, it's an acceleration that might finish them off. Rodriguez is coming up towards in the line. He's not. He's at the back at the moment.
So we've got Moreno, Rodriguez, Uran, Contador, Valverde still there, and Froome's just come back onto that group as well.
Well, Aru is a real danger here as he tries to improve his overall. He was third in the Giro d'Italia. He won the 15th day of that race. He's now looking for a podium in the Vuelta. And this is a big gap for Team Astana. Oh, I think he must have had a spare pair of legs at the 2-kilometre sign, because he's absolutely flying up here now. He's only 24 years of age, Fabio Aru.
8 seconds.
A small bonus tonight, Graham. He probably wouldn't climb more than one place overall, but he's thinking long term here. 8 riders chase.
Chris Froome there, still in 3rd place, so he can't respond to the attacks, but he keeps coming back. Contador's lying in about 5th place there. Are we going to see something from Contador?
What a credit, though, of Chris Froome is, because he's suffering really down there, but it just shows you no matter how high you get in the sport, you still have to hurt yourself to stay at the top. Froome is riding extremely well. He's got the front of the group now. He can dictate the pace for the moment. Now this man, who has won only one race this year, and it was stage 15 of the Giro d'Italia. He's now just absolutely catapulted away from that very elite group of 8. He's going to make some time gains today. He's going to get a win bonus as well, so it improved from his 8th place overall to possibly 6th tonight. But the ascension is what he'll want to see. This is a great result for Fabio Aru, the Italian, winning high in the mountains in Spain for only the 2nd time this year. Contador is closing in behind, and that's going to cut down the time advantage. Contador and Valverde coming shoulder to shoulder as Aru wins the stage. This is the race for 2nd place, and as they hit the line, Valverde gets it, and Contador, I think, will have crossed him 4th, Rodriguez probably 3rd, and Chris Froome has hung on about a 2nd behind them. He is 5th.
Well, this is a great ride by Aru. He timed his attack to perfection. He had a little bit of a dig earlier on, got caught, but he went again, and when he went again, there was no stopping him. Brilliant ride by him, and will confirm his place as a real overall GC contender.
And a real GC battle on the final climb. Valverde and Rodriguez edged Contador out of the bonus places. Chris Froome held on for 5th, ahead of Uran, Sanchez and Martin. Robert Hesink lost 21 seconds after looking for a while like he might take the stage, but Aru's attack was the one that stuck. He spoke to Matt Rendell.
Ho provato 2 volte, la prima volta hanno chiuso e la seconda volta sono riuscito ad andare via e insomma quasi non ci credevo. Mi ero preparato molto bene per questa Vuelta.
So a well-taken stage win for Aru, even if he profited perhaps from the big favourites being more preoccupied with each other. And of course, overshadowing his win and the whole day was the departure of the biggest of all the favourites coming into this race. X-rays showed that Nairo Quintana had fractured a shoulder blade in today's crash. That'll be operated on tomorrow.
Pues sí, una pena, ha empezado torcida, ayer ya se torció un poco con la caída de Nairo y hoy con la volver a caer y retirarse, pues la verdad que una pena. Desde aquí le mando muchos ánimos míos y de todo el equipo. Y bueno, al final yo he estado bien, el equipo ha estado bien, hemos sabido reponernos a la mala suerte y nada, segundo en la etapa y recortando un poquito de tiempo.
On the podium in red jersey and matching knee tape, Alberto Contador was preoccupied with thoughts of his missing rival too.
Bueno, pues es una pena, la verdad, que un corredor como Nairo no esté en carrera, porque se va a dar mucho más espectáculo. La verdad que ha sido un año bastante complicado para corredores de las generales. En el caso de Froome y el mío en el Tour, en el caso del Giro con Joaquín Rodríguez y ahora pues en el caso de Quintana. Por suerte es algo, pero no es nada grave, lo operarán y estoy seguro que el año que viene estará aquí más fuerte aún.
Froome ha hecho un poquito la goma al final.
Bueno, pues sí, tan pronto estaba detrás del grupo como estaba al frente del grupo. La verdad que nunca sabes qué esperarte. no hay que confiarse con él porque cualquier día puede hacer uno de sus ataques y dejarnos a todos atrás.
Alberto, a menos 2 kilómetros, Froome apareció en la cabeza y en ese momento atacaste. Era un momento también psicológico importante.
Bueno, no, únicamente me he estado preocupando un poco de controlar la gente de la general. Está todo muy cerrado, Alejandro se está mostrando muy fuerte, Joaquín también. Bueno, un final muy explosivo para ellos y mira, contento de haber pasado un día y ahora a descansar. Gracias.
Chris, you kept getting dropped there but fighting back.
I was just trying to ride my own pace up there in front of the other guys. Yeah, I had a really tough day yesterday and I'm still paying for that today.
Muy raro. Yo veo eso muy raro. Porque se va quedando, va tirando a su equipo, pilla otra vez, se pone a tirar, no lo sé cuál es la estrategia que llevan, o es que van justos y hace lo que puede y ya está. Pero bueno, cada uno en su equipo y hace lo que quiere y ya está.
Well, he may have baffled his rivals, but he's up to fourth. Chris Froome, winner Anacona, having lost time today. And Alejandro Valverde is 7 seconds closer to Contador. A 6-second bonus for second on the line, and another second as he and Contador fought it out at the first intermediate sprint, although Spanish television didn't show it. Fabio Aru moves up to 7th.